Having been on YouTube for quite a while now, probably too long, realistically, has granted me the opportunity to have contact with a lot of awesome people. And today we're going to view some of their fish tanks from their homes. Through Patreon, we've managed to be able to open up a Discord chat where we're able to share images and things and real-time chat back and forth about maybe you're having a problem, maybe you're having a concern, or maybe you're just being successful and want to be happy and share your success. From the Discord is where those pictures come from today. We have a few tanks we're going to get to. I want to keep this video kind of short and sweet, so we're going to do that. The first tank comes from Gripa, who's been a longtime supporter of the channel, and I am super happy to finally be able to post one of his tanks. This tank is a Fluval Flex, and it's green as all get out, which is basically what would happen if I was the owner of a Fluval Flex. I would essentially allow this thing to just grow completely out of control. As you guys know, the Fluval Flex isn't that big of a tank. I used to have tons and tons of nano tanks, and I ended up swapping out to going with much larger systems, mainly for this reason. You guys know I am obsessed with growing plants, propagating plants, collecting plants. I'm just a guy that wants to be able to garden 24/7, 365, and Vince is the same way. He lives up on a mountain, awesome electrician dude I've gotten to know over the years, and I hope we get to see more tanks of his, because this is kind of exactly how I would run a tank. Some ram's horn snails, a ton of plants, a few fish. It's definitely like appropriately stocked in my mind, right? So totally stoked to get to see that and check it out. It probably needs a feature fish. That's what'll put it over the top to an A, right? Yeah. Our next tank comes from MEKECH. Okay, Philip. He has a confusing screen name, but as we can see, this is an awesome ADA tank with, glass lily pipes. He's got the carbon dioxide. He's got awesome substrate. And by the way, a super sweet cow down in the corner. Okay. He's got his tools out front. He's got what looks to be some kind of Easy Green type fertilizer on the left-hand side, which, hey, man, props to that. You got to run some Easy Green or some other kind of fertilizer. I mean, you got to run some kind of fertilizer, you know what I'm saying? If you're running CO2, you're running some dope lights, you got to have some kind of fertilizer. You just got to be smart like that. It's got an awesome HC carpet going on it. This thing is just green, and I think anybody out there would be super stoked to have this thing sitting on their desk, sitting on their dresser, sitting on their coffee table in the middle of their living room. I don't think anybody would have a concern or a complaint with this thing chilling out just about anywhere on display in their home. Now, I do have to mention, from this picture, I do see something that I would have a slight concern about, and that would be the wallpaper stripe on the back wall there. Come on now. We got to update that. We got to update that a little bit. I know it's a pain. And your house might be a rental or something along those lines, either way. But we got to update the style of those walls a little bit. My brother, it's getting a little intense. But otherwise, I give this a B+ also because I don't see a feature fish. But we probably have to upgrade it to an A- because we do have a little moo cow down there in the corner. So that's sort of almost legit thing chilling out just about anywhere on display in their home. Now, I do have to mention, from this picture, I do see something that I would have a slight concern about, and that would be the wallpaper stripe on the back, right? So maybe that will work. I don't know. I don't know if it's water safe. Just make sure that your little cow statue is water safe before you go sticking it in there. So hopefully we'll get a shot here in the future at some point in time of this tank developing. I'd like to see some more of the growth, and it would be dope to see a trimming video or something like that at some point in time. And by the way, I do want to get some videos here in the future, guys. I mean, that's kind of right. Isn't that what we're all looking for? We're all looking for some kind of video. So shout out to anybody out there on the Discord and the Patreon. We are looking forward to seeing some video, which it doesn't have to be crazy fancy video, you guys. You can just set your cell phone down on some stable, take a 15-second video or something, just so we get an idea of what it looks like when it's in motion and commotion. You know what I'm saying? Our third installment comes from Jared RB. I don't know if you guys have seen Jared in the chat here and there, but he's definitely made some posts on Patreon, and he's definitely up on the Discord. Now, this is a pretty cool triptych, realistically, if you think about it. We got a vase. We have a super tiny nano tank that actually has its own little sump in it, if I'm correct. I think it's an all-in-one that has a little sump underneath it, and I think that's a 20 long on the right-hand side there. But this is a triptych of tanks that I think pretty much anybody could rock this. Like, this isn't the most in-depth commitment, like monetarily or space-wise, but you think about it in terms of, like, you got 3 scapes in a very small footprint. And I love seeing creative uses of stuff like this, like an old vase that maybe would just sit on a shelf most months out of the year, right? It'd probably just be sitting there doing nothing, being unentertaining, just being a weird vase. Or maybe it has like a little Christmas scene in it or something, and you break it out for a week out of the year for the Christmas season. But this way, you have a living vase that's something you can mess with, something you can watch and just enjoy around all year long. And, as I've mentioned before, that is my goal, gardening all year round. Now, the 20 long on the right is pretty clearly, not the newest setup, but it looks like we got some new plants in there, new stuff going on, and I do look forward to getting to see some of the updates. Now, I'm not sure what lights he's using on these, but I would be interested in finding out what is on the 20 long there, because it looks like it's putting out enough light, and maybe it's something that I would like to test at some point in time and check out and see if it's worthwhile. Other than that, this is a pretty healthy little setup. He's got thermometers on everything. He's got filtration where it's needed. Obviously the vase doesn't necessarily have like a filtration and stuff like that going on. It's just kind of a little nature setup, and you just sort of run it as like a little terrarium, basically, or a vivarium or whatever, and I'm enjoying it. Let's give it, because of the triptych factor and things are going to grow in, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I was going to say C+, but I'm going to say it's just dope. It's just straight up a dope setup that anybody could rock for, not that much investment, really, if you think about it. Ooh, our next and final tank of the day comes to you from Millipede. Like that going on. It's just thanks for sending this in, because this is essentially what my 240-gallon aquarium is. I mean, the substrate's the same. It's established, and I can see you've been wiping, and I can see you've been wiping away some of the, what I like to call algae tears. Ooh, algae tears? What's he talking about? I just made it up. It's just sad tears made of algae that come out of your face when you're like, oh my gosh. But she basically has the same substrate going on in here that I do in the 240. It looks like things are kind of in flux, like my 240 is right now also. So I am 100% with you to give you the exact same advice that I would here, is just be consistent with this tank. Keep it going, and it will eventually, you will succeed and power through, because trust me when I say I am battling some algae, some things are going a little bit wild in that tank. But don't worry, everybody out there is going to see an update on my 240 pretty soon, and you'll get to see the whole walkthrough and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to do some new stuff here on YouTube, and this is probably part of it. Anyhow, Millipede, this is dope. I love Dragonstone. I love your substrate. I can tell it's a big mix of substrate, which is the same stuff I have in the 240. You got the Java ferns going in there, which they look like they kind of took a hit for a little bit, but it looks like they're starting to come back to me. So I would stick with them. Anubias, okay, but what I would do is I would probably add some cryptocorini into this tank and try and keep things going. And I would definitely swap out that sponge filter. It looks like it's been through, it's basically been through the ringer. It's about time. But luckily, you do have some guppies in here that look like they're breeding, unlike my one male and one female didn't breed. I don't know what happened with that. They must have been some kind of sterile mix of guppies or something, because they never bred. But big thanks for sending this in, and I do look forward to the updates. I love hearing about this tank and finding out how it's going to progress. And I have faith in you, because just some water changes, just some plants, a little bit of fertilizer, and just keep rocking and rolling, and you will overcome the madness. Anyhow, thanks for watching today, you guys. As I mentioned, this is a Patreon Discord episode, and I'm going to be doing more of them. So if you have sent in a tank, don't worry. I'm going to be getting to them as much as I can moving forward. How do you become a Patreon? You click one of the links down below. You'll figure it out. Or you can hit the join button on YouTube, become a member, and go to the community page, and you can go over to the Discord from there. So that's 2 ways you can do it. I don't know how many more ways I could even figure out how to put that stuff in there. But thanks for tuning in today, and I'll talk to y'all later.